Welcome to It's a Woman's World, where we'll meet achieving women making a difference in our community. I'm Carolyn Bruner. Our guest is Julie Kantor, serial entrepreneur and founder of her 5th startup, To Mentor. She's also a social impact leader and the author of I Said Yes, as well as the Mentor Road Trip Action Guide. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. It's great to be back on your show, Carolyn.
Yes. Actually, I meant to say welcome back.
Thank you.
I looked it up. It was 2011.
Yes.
So we have a lot just to catch up.
I know. I've been looking forward to this all weekend. Thank you.
I'm glad. And when you were here before, you were, was NFTE?
Yes.
CEO.
Executive Director of this region,
yes.
We were building a movement, which we were so happy to share on your show, teaching entrepreneurship to low-income kids. And so I did that for 20 years.
Oh, really? 20 years? I didn't realize that. Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I loved it.
I remember it well, yes. And I looked it up, and it's still in existence.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we actually, by the time I left, because I retired to build again, and we had trained 650,000 kids in 12 countries, teaching them the life skill of entrepreneurship.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, that's wonderful. After that, I was just going to ask you to catch me up a bit, and then kind of connect that with what you're doing now, and just go on.
Sure. So Nifty was, I say Nifty raised me. I was born and raised in D.C. and now live in Maryland, in Montgomery County, and own a business in Montgomery County.
Great.
And my father actually escaped from Hungary. He escaped to America for opportunity, and for a while was bagging groceries at Giant Foods, and then applied to 10 colleges and got turned down by 9, but got a full scholarship to Harvard. And Henry Kissinger mentored him there. And he taught me a lot about the American dream. So when I learned about Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship, this movement to teach inner city kids how to build their own businesses to escape poverty, it really resonated. And so I had a wonderful 20-year career building the D.C. region, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, including Montgomery County, and then founded the Boston region. So after 20 years, I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I mean, I always viewed myself as a social entrepreneur, but so I joined a technology startup. And Carolyn, we launched a company in Silicon Valley at a big conference there called Demo. And I think you'll appreciate this. I was walking around the swimming pool at the evening reception, and it was me and a sea of men.
Oh, great.
There were almost no women there. So I started where are the women? Where are the women in technology? Where are the women in engineering? And why? And the ones that I met there, I was trying to find women who had equity in companies, not just sort of on the side of marketing and social media.
Oh, I see.
And that got me really interested in women in tech, women in STEM,
That's what
and the work I'm doing now.
I've connected you for years with STEM, actually.
Yes.
And that's, so I never knew the story of how you got yourself interested in it and pursued it. That's very interesting. Yeah. Gosh. So then but now, I said I connected you with STEM all these years, but then I also connected you with mentoring.
Yeah, I think
so
they go hand in hand.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
They go absolutely hand in hand. So working and focusing on women in STEM and how we build a more skilled, diverse STEM workforce with in science, technology, engineering, math. I came across a study by Sun Microsystems. Actually, the study was done by Wharton and Gartner, and it was on the company Sun Microsystems before they got sold to Oracle. And people who mentored in the engineering department, 5 years later, those people got promoted 6 times more. The mentees, the people who asked for help, they got promoted 5 times more, and retention rates were 20% higher. So right now, women make up about 50% of America's workforce. We make up about 24% of the STEM workforce. and 50% drop out. So I think mentoring is really critical to retention of both women and millennials and drives more diversity. So actually it was a natural segue to go from STEM to how do we build mentoring cultures in the workforce.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's interesting. And I'm just going to step back a second because I was going to ask you, were you thinking about your daughter as well as
always
when doing all this? Because I know you have a daughter, you know.
Yeah, I have a 15-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And just looking at STEM careers and what they pay, and that they tend to pay 40% more, seeing that girls at a young age, by the time they hit the 5th grade, are deciding that they're not good at math or science, and that they're kind of, that there's a clear gender careers in this country. I'll give you, like, where women or girls are more going towards sciences, and boys are more going towards the T and the E, no pun intended, but technology and engineering.
Right.
And so there was a study that we looked at with My College Options, where they found that at the high school level, boys, 44% of boys were interested in STEM careers versus 15% of girls. And what girls were choosing, 80% were choosing sciences, and boys, again, were 8 times more likely to choose technology and engineering. Then we looked at mentoring, and of millions of girls, 368,000 were interested in STEM careers, and of them, 4.9% said they had a mentor encouraging them. So I think mentoring is really important.
Yeah, I was going to say, I talk about it a lot on the show with many guests.
Yes.
And I've always wanted a mentor. And so I really didn't, back then, we didn't have them, we didn't even know them, but I always wanted somebody, to support me. So I'm so glad that this is becoming more widespread and accepted. And it seems like you were saying they're not just accepted, but people are expecting it now. And there were girls, women, are expecting it now.
Well, our
in the
millennial
workplace.
workforce, born between 1980 and 2000, there was a Deloitte study, 79% want their managers to use a mentoring coaching style of management, and 75% view that being mentored is critical to their professional success. So we tell our clients, basically mentor them or they will leave you. That millennials are coming into the workforce, Gen Z is coming into the workforce, and they need someone to take them under their wing and teach them the ropes and help them avoid, I'll call it the jellyfish, as they join a new company, where are the minefields or jellyfish and how to avoid them. They need someone who will give them feedback, more feedback professionally, and they're looking for us to invest in them in their learning and development. I don't want my daughter working somewhere, Carolyn, where people are not going to mentor her and teach her the ropes. And I think that that's critical, but we've actually moved away from mentoring in corporate America.
Oh, really?
There's been such turnover. 21% of millennials left their jobs last year, and about 60% are thinking of leaving their jobs in the next 3 years.
Really?
They kind of collect jobs like we collect things. It's like a job is an experience they like to collect. I think Gen Z, the next generation, are going to be a little bit more, they're going to be a little bit
stable,
more stable. But I think it's really important that we look at how do you build a mentoring cultures, when we saw from that Sun Microsystem study that it really drives retention. And it creates a workplace for all generations that's less isolated.
You also mentioned multi-generational, right?
Yes.
So that, with the people who have been there for a while.
Yes.
I don't want to say elderly, but people who have been there for a while, and some are elderly and some are not. But to involve them with the younger generation, and I'm sure, I know they can learn from each other.
It's very much mutual. Mutual. You could call it peer-to-peer mentoring. You can call it reverse mentoring. But really, I'm seeing more companies actually where the baby boomers are saying, let's get younger people to mentor us.
Yes, I read
which
that.
I love. And
know.
the younger people are thrilled because we have so much to learn from each other of all generations. And again, Gallup did a study on America's workforce and found that overall engagement rates are 32%. That means 68% of people go to work pretty less than engaged.
Yeah.
And for millennials, it was 28%. For baby boomers, it was about 36%. For the greatest generation, it was about 40%. One thing that I want to say, because we're just past International Women's Day, the highest level of engagement, the highest level is women managers at 40%. The second highest was women working for women, which came out of that Gallup study. So really, I think people are feeling disengaged. They're feeling a bit isolated. Technology addiction is a big part. That people are behind their computer screens, so we're having less of this, where we eyeball each other and we can share stories and we can share from experiences and we can share challenges with each other and learn from each other, which is so important. And so I think mentoring also plays a key role in us seeing each other better and helping each other in the world of work.
Now, did you have a mentor when you were younger?
I feel like I've had a lot. I feel like I've had almost, you could say like, well, one thing that I think I ran a charity for 20 years. And when you're running a charity, so many people, male and female, helped me. And it was about 50-50, men and women on my board. And they helped me build Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. So they mentored me, they coached me, they sponsored me.
Did you realize it at the time, or did you call the mentors at the time? Because I had some people help me too, but we didn't, at my generation, didn't necessarily
I thank them for their mentoring.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I thank them always for their mentoring, and I definitely had some, I kind of viewed them as big brothers and big sisters that were helping me build. And I didn't realize until I started building myself to mentor my company that as I travel globally, teaching companies how to build and working with individuals, doing mentor training and more, I didn't realize that people, anywhere I go, I said, how many of you in this room have a mentor? And it's always less than 40%. And I just assumed 90% of people would have mentors. So that got me really thinking about how do we need to engineer more mentoring.
Yeah, and well evidently with your work, you were in a culture where people were mentoring you, so you picked up on that then.
I was very fortunate at NIFTY.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate at NIFTY to have both mentors and sponsors.
And that's actually, I'm going to take a break now, but I wanted to talk about when we come back, the difference between mentors and sponsors.
Absolutely.
And I want some takeaways. I want you to tell us what it's important for mentors to do, what's important for the mentee to do to get the best out of their relationship. Okay.
Absolutely.
We'll return after this short public service announcement.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Welcome back to It's a Woman's World. We're speaking with Julie Kantor, founder of 2Mentor. Julie, we stopped last time, and I was saying we were just going to talk about the difference between a mentor and a sponsor, and I found that very interesting. You know,
So this has been actually a game changer, I think, in a lot of my thinking. I was building an initiative before starting 2Mentor called Million Women Mentors. And I met with Lucy Sanders, the head of the National Center for Women in Information Technology, NCWIT. And she said, Julie, it's great you're focusing on mentoring, but you also really need to focus on sponsorship. And I looked at her and I didn't know what that meant. And basically she said, you know, a mentor is someone who speaks with you, someone who advises you, shares from his or her personal experiences, encourages you. So a mentor speaks with you. a sponsor speaks about you behind closed doors. A sponsor champions you to others. A sponsor says, how about Carolyn for the promotion or the opportunity or the stretch assignment? Why don't we make her in line for the next CEO opportunity here?
Well, I'll take that one.
Exactly.
That's fine.
So what's very interesting is the Center for Talent Innovation did some studies. 83% of women do not have sponsors. 49% of men do. And I had the opportunity to talk now to about 1,600 women top leaders. And when I asked them the difference between a mentor and a sponsor, if they know the difference, most haven't heard the terminology. But when we kind of dig in a little bit, I've learned that over 90% say that if they had a sponsor, it was often a male sponsor. Someone in a position of power who championed them.
You know, as you're talking, I'm remembering, and I said, well, I didn't have mentors, but in a sense, back then, we didn't call them that, but I did have a woman who actually helped me, gave me tips, pushed me along the way.
Yes.
And there was a male in our organization who did, behind closed doors, push me for, it wasn't a CEO, but a promotion for a job that I really wanted.
Great.
And
did you
other
get the
people,
job?
I did, and other people had
He sponsored you.
applied for it, and he sponsored me for it. And I
So you
hadn't
have mentors and
realized that
sponsors.
until, a couple of years later, someone told me that.
Yeah.
And wow. So I actually had one of each.
Yeah.
Which I
and I think a lot of times we don't use the words. But again, a mentor is someone who speaks with you and advises you. A sponsor speaks about you behind closed doors. If you have a mentor and or a sponsor, it's important to acknowledge them. It's also really important for women that we ask for sponsoring help.
Oh, that was my next question, and I'm so glad. Because how do you ask someone to be your mentor? Do you ask for someone to be a sponsor? Or that sounds, I can see asking to be a mentor, but how in the world would you ask somebody to be a sponsor?
That's a great question, and we just did a wonderful session for women, for 50 women leaders on co-sponsorship. How can we sponsor each other and create reciprocal sponsorship relationships? So one example is one of my friends was a chief diversity officer of a major company. She was in transition or about to be in transition, and so I sponsored her, connecting her to HR leaders of about 9 companies. And then she wanted to sponsor me to companies that could be prospective clients. So we decided to champion each other because we've known each other. We trust each other. We've known each other. We know the other person will show up on time or reach out and be very professional. So part of it is trust, and that you're putting your reputation with the other person's reputation. And it's so easy really using also LinkedIn, saying, hey, Dan, I'd love to champion, you know, I'm sorry, hey, Dan, I have a very good friend, someone I respect professionally, who's looking for her next opportunity in talent or diversity or to be a vice president of a company. These are her qualifications. Would you be open to an introduction with her? And then if Dan says yes, I can make that introduction, but I'm then going to check out 2 to 3 weeks later with both of them if they connected and how I can help. Or I might take my friend to meet in person or join me at things where I can make some of these higher level connections for her.
That's actually a touchy situation, though. I mean, you really have to make sure that your friend is reliable, a good worker, and you have to know a lot about them and how they work.
Well, what's interesting I found as a female entrepreneur, that a lot of times I'll meet with male entrepreneurs in the Montgomery County, DC region, and they will immediately champion me to other people.
Really?
They worry a little bit less. They seem to worry a little bit less and like, okay, who can I introduce you to? So I've been very diligent at thinking through more deliberately, how can I sponsor more women? How can I sponsor more young men? And and how can I get up to speed a little faster and champion people? Because I find it really gratifying when I make an introduction and someone gets a job, or if I connect someone and they get a business deal. Sometimes with one gentleman, I made some connections, he got some business, and then I got a check in the mail.
Well,
he
that's-
sent me 10% of the revenues. And I offered to do the same back with him. So a lot of entrepreneurs were co-sponsoring each other. But I think that a mentor is, one thing is it's not an either or. I think what my daughter needs at 15 is mentoring. She might need some sponsors to help her get internships.
Ah, I see.
In college, she might need mentors, and the beginning years on the job need mentors. But as she wants to advance in her career trajectory, sponsorship is going to be critical. So
Yeah,
just
I
looking
see.
at it as holistically, and someone who mentors you might not be your sponsor.
No, I saw them originally as very distinct.
Very
As you were
distinct.
explaining them,
Yeah.
yeah. But I guess they could overlap. But
They
I
can,
don't
depends
know.
how, if they're networked and if that's their mentality to champion and feel comfortable, they've got to be comfortable doing it.
I'm very happy to hear that women are championing other women or learning to, because for the longest time, I'm afraid that I didn't see that or didn't hear of it. You know,
Well,
so-
it's critical.
Yeah,
Sponsorship is a game changer for women, and we are very passionate about teaching women women leaders to co-sponsor
co-sponsor.
each other and men. I think we're doing more training
And
and getting
actually-
requests for more sponsorship work.
And actually, you gave statistics the first half where it helps the mentor as well as the mentee in their job and their
Yeah.
position in getting
Yeah.
higher jobs. Yeah,
And I love connecting people. For me, it's fun.
Yeah,
You know, it's actually really fun.
it
and
is.
There's so many great people. We live in, you know, in the DC region where
We are,
such
right.
a qualified, brilliant workforce, and there's so many good people out there, and it's just fun if you are connected to champion others.
Yeah. Well, give me now some tips for the mentor, and then I'll ask you some tips for the mentee.
Sure. So, well, I think first off, don't overthink this.
Oh,
Don't overthink this. Don't put all kinds of labels on it. If you see someone you feel you can help, okay, and they're open to help, why not just invite them for a cup of coffee? Why not think about a game plan? Like, I personally plan to mentor 5 people, male and female, this year, and I will probably sponsor the same amount, 4, 5, or 6. Okay,
but these are younger people?
No.
Not
no.
necessarily. Oh,
all
okay.
ages. All
All
ages.
ages. Okay, I didn't
It's
realize
people
that.
where I feel that I want to invest in them, that I can
Yes.
help them, that I believe in them, or I see something in them where I can offer help. Now,
See.
on a daily basis, in every conversation I have, I look for mentoring moments where we learn from each other. That's part of my life, and it makes it really fun to
Yeah.
just see constantly we're all helping each other. It
It's
makes
a
the
hard-
world a better place to me.
Yeah. I can see that, and I think that's great. But for most people in business or entrepreneurs, it's a little more difficult. You have to really keep it in mind,
Yeah.
along with all the other things you're doing for your company, for your people.
Well, I think
Yeah.
entrepreneurs are the most philanthropic and mentoring people in the universe. So entrepreneurs, we get together at this event often called Connectpreneur, and immediately we're just doing we're just doing these quick mentoring moments with each other because we know each other. It's like a high school reunion of entrepreneurs, and here often in Bethesda. And but I think that, so one, get together with someone, just invite them for a cup of coffee.
Okay.
If you want a mentor, think of 2 to 3 areas that you need help so you can have a focused conversation. Again, start simply with a cup of coffee, a couple things, have questions prepared, and just really, what is it that you can learn from this person? Does this person have something you want? If it's a male mentoring a female in the age of Me Too, meet during the day. We recommend don't meet, no alcohol. Definitely don't do a hotel room like Harvey Weinstein model. No, meet during the day.
Right.
Look at this woman or a young man as like a niece or a nephew or a sister. Just keep the boundaries clear. Talk about your families. And just, again, this is someone's daughter. Have really respectful conversations. And again, is there something you can do to help this person advance towards their goals? And if there is, maybe suggest you meet, and then maybe can we meet next month?
Okay, now you're talking about still the mentor.
Yeah.
And,
Can we meet?
okay.
Yeah, if I can mentor someone, let's meet again. Or if they feel that I can, if they feel as the mentee, and I know I'm blurring this, but if they feel I have something really to offer, they'll like, Julie, can we get together in a month? Can we get together in 3 weeks? And then we'll meet again. But I want to make sure that as a mentor, am I helping this person advance towards their goals? Do they have tangible goals? I don't want to give them the answers. I want to help them come up with their own answers. But I will share in a learning way from my own experiences, my own failures, my own, how I got through, really, difficult, challenging times to better times. I try to be very authentic, and then ask them questions to help them think through where they're going.
What popped in my mind is, does the mentee say to the person, will you be my mentor, after they have their cup of coffee and chat and see that there's something? Does the mentor back and forth say to the mentee, gee, I can mentor you. I find that you have some problems that I know I've gone through. Well,
I think that a lot of times I'll meet with someone and I'll say, thank you so much for your mentoring. Or I might introduce someone, this is so-and-so, one of my great mentors, and I mean it. And I find I take a lot of interns at To Mentor, both high school and college, and I find a lot of them say, this is my mentor, Julie.
Oh,
So it's not like we've stated. Now, within a company initiative, within a company or organizational initiative, we recommend that the mentor, that we actually work with them and we do flash mentoring, which is kind of like speed dating.
I heard you say that, and I'd read a little bit about you do that with your To Mentor company. No, before we get out of time, I was just mentioning the To Mentor company. Tell us how you got that name.
So, okay. I took the word mentor and realized something. If you take the word mentor and you put two in front of it, first off, it takes two to make things go right, like the old rap song, Rob Bass. But also, by putting two in front of mentor, you get the word women and men into mentoring.
That's true.
And my passion is elevating women in the workforce and driving greater retention of millennials. And we say two things. One, we say that the people who mentor at your company are the people who drive engagement and retention at your company. And the other thing we say is, if you want diversity, you need to mentor and sponsor more diversely. So we work with leaders on their living legacies. How will they mentor and sponsor more diversely?
Goodness, tell people how they can get in touch with you. You've given so much information, and I'm sure you've got your website and other places where people can get a hold of you.
Yeah, I think the website is listed here. It's tomentor.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Julie Kantor. And my email is julie@tomentor, TWOmentor.com. Please reach out and say hi.
Okay. And what's the last thing you want to leave people with when they hear the word mentor or they hear about your company?
I want you to think for a minute about someone in the last 3 months who's reached out to you for help. Or maybe one of your friends asked if you could spend time with their daughter or their son. Or maybe as you walk down the corridors of your company, there's a young woman sitting in a cubicle who says hello to you, and she's kind of new at the company. I want you to pick one person, if you're hearing this, and just invite them for a mentoring conversation over coffee or tea.
That's great.
And then write to me at julie@tomentor.com and let me know how it went.
Oh, wonderful.
And I'll send them all to you, Carolyn.
Okay, great. Give people homework. I love it.
Homework.
Thank you so much.
Fun homework.
Yeah, exactly.
And find yourself. I mean, there's no mentor that I've met that won't say that they got as much out of the relationship as their mentee did. It's a two-way street. Learn from each other.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm going to start this myself as well. I'll let you know.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, you're welcome. Happy that you are here. I hope you've enjoyed meeting our guest, Julie Kantor, as much as I have, and that you've picked up some tips about mentoring. If you know a woman who's gone above and beyond to contribute to our community, please email us. We're itsawomansworld@mmctv.org. Remember, it's a woman's world. See you next time.